Boa tarde, pessoal. Bom, a gente está aqui hoje. Meu nome é Mônica, para quem não me conhece. Eu sou a Mônica Santos, trabalho na 3W, tá? Eu sou a pessoa em contato com vocês quando vocês estão ali no processo do intercâmbio. Então, no momento que vocês embarcam até o final, até quando vocês voltam, eu sou a pessoa aí de contato principal de vocês. Então, dúvidas, enfim, estou atrasado, meu voo atrasou, vocês podem falar diretamente comigo, se vocês preferirem falar em português, tá? Mas a gente vai ter, além dos host parents de vocês, que vocês vão ter o contato, assim que vocês receberem o placement, vocês também vão ter a Alison como suporte, numa costa, e a Elisa na outra costa, tá? Então, quem vai fazer a apresentação para a gente aqui hoje é a Erin, ela é a diretora da Twin Palms, tá? A pessoa aí responsável por todo o andamento. Então, assim, tem bastante gente para vocês falarem, para vocês solicitarem. Mas de linha de frente aí, normalmente sou eu, tá? Só um minutinho, gente, tá entrando um monte de gente, pera lá. Giovana. E sou eu, tá? Ou a coordenadora de vocês, do homestay de vocês. Então, numa costa vai ser a Alison, que está aqui com a gente hoje, e na outra vai ser a Elizabeth, que não está aqui conosco hoje, não pôde participar, mas vocês vão ver a fotinho dela aqui, e ela vai entrar em contato com vocês na chegada também. Então, vocês vão ter o WhatsApp de todo mundo, a ideia é que ninguém passe perrengue, tá? Principalmente desnecessário, gente. Uma das maiores aqui ferramentas do intercâmbio que vocês vão entender é a comunicação. A gente não consegue ajudar vocês se vocês não falarem. Quando vocês vêm até a gente consegue aí resolver qualquer conflito, qualquer informação, tá? Eu vou começar a apresentação agora. A apresentação, obviamente, vai ser em inglês, feita pela Erin. No final da apresentação, se vocês tiverem dúvida, vocês, por favor, façam todas as perguntas, que a ideia aqui é a gente minimizar aí todas, né, o que vocês não souberem, o que vocês não tiverem aí segurança o suficiente ainda em termos de informação. Bom? Erin, when you say, I'm going to start, and then you say, you can just say next one, I'm going to start, okay?
Sounds
Go
good.
ahead.
Welcome, everyone. So happy you're here. I know you've been planning this for quite some time. And right now we're planning for your arrival. So your host experience is going to be really important to your success for your whole experience there. So we know how important it is. And if there's any agents or parents on the line, thank you for trusting us, because we know that this is a big your child is the most important thing to you. So thank you for trusting us with them. Know that what we go over today and even after arrival, we keep a student safety top of our mind. So let me introduce you to the people on our team. Go ahead, Monica. You'll see here, we have Allison. Allison, if you want to wave a little bit, she's on the call. She's going to be in charge of schools in the West Coast. So if you're attending Mater Dei, if you're attending St. Francis in Watsonville, which is Northern California, then Allison is your coordinator. Anyone that's attending St. Raphael's, I think those are the 3 schools, right, Monica, that we've got on the call. Elizabeth can't be here, but she's going to be your coordinator, and she'll connect with you before you arrive. So Monica was saying, I believe, that pre-arrival and a level of support is Monica, and she's going to make sure that you get to us, to our team safely. Once you arrive, your coordinator is your main point of contact. So Allison is going to be your point of contact if you're a Mater Dei student, St. Francis student. If you're on the East Coast in Rhode Island at St. Raphael's, Elizabeth is your point of contact. So go ahead. Also, if you don't have their WhatsApp now, go ahead and save it. If you're an agent or a parent, we ask that you follow the original process of communication, which is through your agent. But go ahead and take a moment and save that phone call on your phone. To your right here, 24/7, that is if there's any home state emergencies. This is not medical or police emergencies. This is an emergency. If for some reason you can't get a hold of your coordinator, we have a 24/7 emergency line, and you'll get in contact with someone that can help you. So feel free and go ahead and save those now. We'll allow a minute for to go ahead and do that. All right. I don't know if you guys can make comment in the chat box, but I'm guessing everyone has an idea in their mind of what kind of family is an American family. So anyone want to raise their hand, or anyone recognize a family that's in here? Maybe write it in the chat box if you recognize anyone, or maybe we have a lot of shy people. We can't find a chat box. I'm sure you guys have heard about the Kardashians. Some of you think you're coming to California to live with the Kardashians, right? Just teasing. But everyone probably from movies or TV shows, you might have an idea of what an American family is. You also might have an idea of what maybe our food looks like every day, right? Pancakes, bacon, eggs, or this big meal here. Actually, this week is the only week probably out of the year that we eat like this. It's our Thanksgiving week. So a lot of us are going to come with these ideas of what Americans are like. Maybe you think most of them are very rich. Maybe you think they have one mom, one dad. Or maybe you think they all have a big front yard, a big backyard, and they eat hot breakfast every morning. So the reality is most families that you're going to be living with are probably a little different. But of course, what's most important about them, we're going to get to later. And that is that they're very excited that you're coming. So let's go ahead and go to the reality of what families might be. Monica, can you hear me okay? Monica, is the audio okay for you?
Yes, it is.
Okay, great. Fantastic. So the reality is the United States does have a lot of maybe what we saw on that page, but this is the reality of what families are like. You have families from all different countries in the United States. We have single moms, we have single dads, we have grandparents that live with kids. We have a lot of cereal for breakfast. Have you ever seen an aisle with so much cereal? We have a lot of cereal. We have traffic. Sometimes the house might be a mess that you see here. You often will see both mom and dad cooking in the kitchen. If it's a house with mom and dad, you might be helping out. There also might be kids here. I'm moving my mouse, but it's not my screen you're looking at. But notice on the left side there, you have most likely a host dad and maybe their child do chores together. And that's something that we do. We also have people that are from all different religions, Catholic, Buddhist, Hindu. So it's a very broad variety, and it represents that local community. And we're going to get to what it is like to be even in America. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. Okay, Monica, do you mind kind of moving your mouse around Southern California or California in general, that left-hand side there, California. So all of you students who are coming to California, guess what? It is going to be not maybe what you thought of. I don't know what you thought of, but it's going to be quite a mix of diversity. So notice up there's probably a lot of people that speak Spanish, and that's just what it's made up. And partly what makes our country so strong is the diversity. And if you're going to be living in Rhode Island at St. Ray's, it's that tip, kind of that northeast there where you see orange or light green, top right. See where it says Queens County? Queens County, that's not necessarily Rhode Island, but it's right up above there, top right. And it's going to be a different kind of, potentially a different type of diversity in population. So the U.S., as you can see here on this map, is very diverse. And that's one of our strong suits and what you will also experience in our host families. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one.
Can I go to the next one?
Yeah, let's go ahead and go to the next one. Excellent. So this kind of is discussing also the same thing. What are families? So in your mind, you might think it's going to be a traditional family unit. maybe a mom, a dad, and maybe two children. But the reality is it's diverse, like we just talked about. Some students might have close siblings, brother, sister. Some of them might not. Some of them might have a grandmother in the home. Some of them might not. So it's very diverse, right? Our host families are also sometimes have jobs, so they have schedules. Just like you're going to have a schedule for your school, they probably have a schedule as well for their work. They're going to make sure that together you guys can come up with a schedule that works for both of you. Meals are going to maybe be different, but it's something that you're going to learn about, and they're going to try and think about what is it that Brazilians like to eat. But meals are something that is different. We don't always have hot meals in them. Sometimes we have yogurt, or cereal is very common, or muffins. But then sometimes we might have hot breakfast, but it's not the time. Often people also think that we just eat hamburgers, pizza, hot dogs. But the truth is we like everything. We eat a lot of chicken. So sometimes our hosts say, wow, the Brazilians like to eat a lot of red meat. But we do, a lot of Americans eat red meat, but you don't eat it every day. So those are some differences that you might experience. Now, teenagers in the United States often are very independent when it comes to their own chores. So that could mean doing laundry, help clean their room. But often when they have to go out at night, it's very important that they're communicating with their parents and that their parent knows where they're at. So they can't just hop on a bus and go to a friend's house to another friend's house. So often socially, it's important that parents here always know where you're going. So communicating where you're going. But they are independent often in the home. So sometimes we have students that say, oh, I never have to wash my clothes, or I never have to cook my own breakfast. But here in the United States, if you're a teenager, a lot of teens know how to do that. So some of your host parents might teach you how to do that. And lastly, the one thing that is very true, and I hope that you are expecting this, is that your hosts are excited to see you. They want to share the American culture with you, their culture with you, and they want to enjoy this experience with you of welcoming you into their home. It might be a little different than how you're welcomed in your home or in your home country, but that's part of the experience. So sometimes Brazilians think, oh, Americans, are they warm enough? Do they like me because they didn't give me a hug and a kiss on the cheek? But the truth is sometimes Americans don't treat in the same way that Brazilians. So don't misunderstand that as not being blunted or did well. It's just a different importance. All right. Any questions or thoughts from that page? Now we can move on, and if you do, feel free to raise your hand. All right, friends, you guys are going to be staying in families, and in many ways, you are going to be treated like a part of the family. So what the family does, you're going to be a part of. But it's also a program, and so there's things that are different when you're in a program to just being in your family. For example, you might not be able to, you might have different house rules in one family compared to another family. And so there's things that are going to be different. Maybe with your mom in your house, you're allowed to go to certain places without telling them. But in the United States, because you're in this program, we might have a process if you want to do something. Okay, so we're just going to go through those really quick. First off, let's talk about who everyone is. The coordinator is the person that is Allison, and for the West Coast schools, and she's the person that has been talking to your host families, has found your host families for you, and she's going to be sending those to you very soon. She's going to make sure that you're connected to your host family before you arrive. And she's also in the process of training your host family to make sure that they are prepared for your arrival. You want to make sure that your flight that your host has your flight. They want to make sure that we know the program expectations, your school times and things like that. Allison and Elizabeth, your coordinators, are also there for you. So if you have any issues, if you have any problems, if you have any questions or something seems off, or any sort of questions, you can call your coordinator, you can text your coordinator, you can WhatsApp your coordinator, and they are your support. Okay. Sometimes I know you might feel uncomfortable to ask your host family something. And your coordinator knows how to do that and can do that for you and help you do that. Okay, so your coordinator is your main point of contact once you arrive. You can call Monica, you can call your agent, you can call your mom, but guess what? In the end, they call Allison or they call your coordinator, Elizabeth. So it's easier and faster and more clear if you just call your coordinator, okay? So the part that's more of a program and process are things related to sleepovers or Uber rides. So you can take Uber rides when you're in the United States, but you have to talk to your host family because we prefer for safety that your host knows where you're at. Your host family will be taking you to school and school-related activities and pick you up. But if you want to take an Uber because maybe they can't take you to a friend's until later, you have to communicate that to them because we need to make sure you're safe. Okay. There's a lot of places that you can go that maybe are not as safe. We also have to make sure it's during a time that makes sense. If it's a school night at 11 p.m. and you want to take an Uber ride, the host might say no, and that's okay. That's just our program, and that's thinking of your safety. But maybe on a Saturday afternoon, if your host is gone and you want to meet a friend, you call your host, no problem. Okay? Just communicate, communicate, communicate. Also, something else that often comes up, if you make friends with students that are not in our program, that's wonderful. That is great. I think that's a very positive thing. But if you want to spend the night, overnight, sleepovers, that's a common thing here. Maybe you guys do it as well. That's great. But we just have to fill out the paperwork because we want to make sure it's a safe family. We want to make sure we know where you're going. And so if you know that you're making friends with someone instead of Friday night saying, oh, I need this paper signed, think in advance. Oh, this is someone I'm going to be hanging out with, and call your coordinator and ask, can I get that form? Because I'm going to be spending the night maybe with my friend for sleepovers and things like that. All right. Different also than in your family, because we are a program, you have a code of conduct, which most of you already signed. And basically that goes over some of our expectations. And it mainly means follow the rules of the United States, follow the rules in your city, follow the rules at the school and in your home. Some of them you might know, but we're going to go over them in a little bit. So that's a little bit about the program. So yes, you're going into a family, but there is structure for what we're doing. Any questions or anything in the past couple of slides? Again, feel free to raise your hand. I know I'm speaking a little quickly. So if there's a part you would like for me to repeat, I'm happy to do that. But we can move on, Monica, if not. Oh, actually, before you do, if you don't mind pointing your mouse over the student handbook.
I'm sorry, I cannot hear you. Say again.
The student handbook.
Oh, yeah, they have it, but I can send to them if you prefer.
Great. Yeah. So we're giving student handbooks out. You will send it via email. Your coordinator will send you a student handbook, and there's a lot more information there. All right, do's and don'ts. Okay. This left side here, do's. This is, these are kind of the ingredients for a successful stay here in the United States. You've seen this probably on every side, but communication is number one rule. So if you have a question to your host, if you have a question about food, if you're not sure about your ride, if maybe you have plans and they change, communicate. Sometimes we misunderstand things if we don't communicate. So that's number one. And Americans are very used to being direct with communication. So please feel free to communicate. Allison or Elizabeth are great people to just, if you're not sure how to say something, you can even ask them and they can help you with how to say something or how to ask a question. There are going to be differences, but that's okay. That's part of the experience. So when it's something different, don't be quick to think, oh, that's not the way it should be done, or just kind of come with an open mind. These are some tips when you're speaking in English, when you're communicating your needs. Please and thank you, and you're welcome goes a long way. So go ahead and start practicing them. Often too, we use words, we call them niceties, things like excuse me, or would you mind, could you? So these are little tips of things when you're communicating in English. Also, one thing that's very specific to US high school is you have to get involved. All your friends, your social life is all connected to the school. Get involved as much as you can. And most of the students that do have friends, are happy, are engaged, feel a part. So remember, get involved with the school. There's a lot to do in our high schools here. And you're going to have fun. Follow, of course, the rules and have fun. And I did skip over there. Let me go back to show interest. What that means is ask questions. The more you ask questions for your host and student and peers, which are other students maybe that aren't Brazilians, or your teachers, the more they will also show interest in you and the better connected you'll be. So show interest, be curious, ask a lot of questions. Here are some things that maybe you cannot do during the program. No driving, no co-ed sleepovers, no drinking, drugs, no smoking. We do have curfew. I don't know if you guys have a curfew in your cities in Brazil for minors, but we have curfews. What that means is it's enforced by the city, by the police, that you have to be in the house by a certain time. So sometimes there's a curfew that the city makes and a home makes. But for example, on school nights, there might be a curfew that you have to be home by 10 p.m. And on the weekend, maybe it's 11. Every city's different, but there is a curfew, and that's for your safety. That's to keep every student safe. And again, this is communication. Getting, this is a don't, sorry. When you are here, because you're on our program, because we are responsible for you, you cannot get approval from your mom and dad in Brazil to do something here in the United States if it's not allowed in our program. So for example, if you say, oh, I can go to my friends, it's midnight and I'm going to Uber. We say, no. And you say, oh, my dad told me back home. Because you're in the United States, you have to follow the program expectations here, right? All right. And again, code of conduct following that. So do's and don'ts, those are the basics. If you have any questions, you can talk to your coordinator after arrival about those. All right, first few days. So your host, your coordinator is going to be in contact with you. And again, once you arrive, your host and your coordinator are the main people you will be that are your support people. We always have Monica, your agent, your parents, but those are the first people you should go to, your hosts and your coordinators. They know about your school, they know about the program, and they are there to help and support you. You're going to learn about your family. You're going to get situated in your room. Again, ask them questions. Share about your life with them, what you like with them. Your host family will go and they'll show you the kitchen and what foods they have and what they usually have for breakfast. And this is where your host probably will ask you, what do you like? What do you like for breakfast? They might show you where the laundry room is. They might tell you any other house rules that are important for you to know. The other thing you're going to be learning, you'll probably do this on a call as well with your school, is your school schedule. Maybe you have orientation. You're going to look at a lot of kind of different things about the whole program. You're going to probably be familiarizing yourself with. You'll also be making sure that you have medical insurance. I believe you guys might even get it before you come, right, Monica? But also after you come, Allison also has a copy. Elizabeth has a copy. We have a copy. If you lose it, we give it to your host family. So if you have any questions about medical insurance, feel free to ask us. Also, very important, in the first couple days that you're here, you want to make sure you have data. So your host family will take you to a place to get data for your phone. So we can make sure we're in communication with you. So, and you're also going to look around and say, is there anything I don't have here that maybe I need? And so you can be thinking about that, because we want to make sure that when you start school, you have everything you need. All right, I think we're good. Before we go over that, I wanted to actually, I meant to do this in the beginning, Allison. I'm sorry, I totally missed it. But Allison, why don't you share a little bit just about, I know the schools, I mentioned the schools that you manage, but if you want to say a quick hello.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Allison. I'm located in Orange County in California, in Southern California, and I work specifically with Mater Dei and St. Francis. I love working with the students and with the host families. I used to be a first grade teacher, and so it's just really fun for me to connect with the families and students just in a different avenue. So I'm currently communicating with all the host families. They're super excited about welcoming you guys. A lot of them are rearranging bedrooms and cleaning and kind of like revamping to make sure that it's all ready for you. And we're going to do like little connect cards. So you will have their WhatsApp number. You will have kind of like the best time to reach them. So you can connect with them prior to your arrival. And I will be there alongside just to make sure that when you land, you can find them, you can connect with them, and that you're good to go. But like Erin said, I'm always available via text or WhatsApp, phone call. I'm here to help, and I can't wait to meet all of you.
Thank you, Allison. That's right. So once we're done here and we have questions and that we can answer, just know that we're going to be sending over information about your host family, which I know you guys are eagerly waiting. So we're going to be getting those over to you. And like Allison said, there's an additional connect card that you're going to fill out with your information, and you'll have it with the host information. And so both of you have that, and you guys can connect before you arrive. Okay. So just a quick last page here, getting ready. I know you guys are probably going through your shopping list of what you're going to be bringing, but just make sure all this page is talking about is once you land, you want to connect to your Wi-Fi at the airport. You want to let your host family know I landed. You want to let them know when you clear customs, because everything takes a long time. Some of them are driving an hour to come get you. So make sure you're communicating with them when they land. Allison and your host will be tracking you in the air. So we've got a tracker that we use. So, but if for some reason you don't hear from your host and you're not connecting, you also will have your coordinator's contact information. You have your 1-800 number, but we wanted to make you aware too, there's an info or a help desk at every terminal. And if for some reason you can't connect to anyone, you can go to that help desk and give them the numbers that you have, coordinator number, the 1-800 emergency number, and we will make sure that you're safe and that we pick you up. Our hosts know what to do, so it shouldn't be a problem. Some of them might even have signs to welcome you, so look out for them. But we are very eager to receive you guys, so make sure, I hope you're as excited as we are for you to welcome you. So any questions, feel free to, now's a great time.
Questions? No one? So I know they're gonna have questions for sure in a couple of days. Okay, I'm gonna send to you. Eu queria agradecer a presença de todo mundo. Thank you so much, Erin. Thanks a lot, Alison, for your time. Okay, it was a pleasure meeting you. Qualquer dúvida que vocês tiverem, vocês escrevam para mim, vocês me mandem, entrem em contato com a gente de vocês, mas eu acho que o mais importante que a Erin falou aqui, que a gente sempre frisa, e eu friso muito nas reuniões, é comunicação, tá, gente? Vocês não entenderam? Perguntem novamente para os host parents. Às vezes a gente assume que entendeu e às vezes perdeu uma palavra ali no meio que faz toda a diferença no contexto. Tá? Então, pode mudar aí completamente o sentido da frase, vocês podem se chatear à toa e vice-versa. Então, é importante não entender a pergunta. Eles sabem que inglês não é a primeira língua de vocês, então é importante que vocês também demonstrem aí que vocês não estão conseguindo entender, porque senão eles assumem que vocês estão entendendo tudo quando